Hello everyone. I am a little bit nervous to go live today and share a little bit of my story. But part of being in this online space is all about getting vulnerable, getting honest, and getting real about our experiences. And I think that storytelling is such a powerful avenue to show our people what is possible for them. So, I'm going to share a little bit with you guys about how last year I was able to leverage the power of conversation to pull myself out of a really dark headspace, okay? I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable. I don't know if I'm going to cry, although I might. But I do appreciate and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who are tuning in and holding space for me as I share my story. If any of you is struggling right now with depression, or if you're struggling with feeling like you're all alone, first and foremost, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and just shoot me a hello. You are not alone. I have been there, and I just want you to know that you do not have to go through this by yourself. Okay? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be looking at the comments at the end. And if you want to share your thoughts on this post afterwards, you are more than welcome. Again, if you are going through anything right now and you're feeling all alone, please know that you are not. All right, let's get started. Okay, so this time last year, I was rapidly approaching rock bottom. I was extremely depressed. Please forgive me if I start crying. I might. I was extremely depressed. I was angry at the world. And I was convinced that nobody gave a shit. I felt like a victim, and I saw everything in the world around me as confirmation of that. To make myself feel better, I did whatever I could to escape and avoid my emotions and to pretend that they didn't exist. I figured that the harder I worked and the more I worked, the less time I would have available to feel all the feels. I subconsciously created overcomplicated and probably unnecessary tasks just to have more to do, just so I'd be able to avoid all of those emotions. I know now that this made everything worse. Because the thing is that when we choose to ignore our feelings, it does not mean they're going to go away. Alright? By avoiding how we feel, we are inviting those scary, negative, painful emotions to linger and fester. So what finally changed was I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and he called me out for not being honest about how I felt. He called me out for running away from my emotions and hiding out in my brain. And he gently reminded me that my feelings were not going to magically disappear simply because I was hiding from them in my brain. Okay? So that very night, I allowed myself to have a good hard cry. This was like in January, so I was in this dark place for a good solid 3 to 4 months. I allowed myself a good hard cry, and from that moment forward, I promised myself that I was not going to go through this hard shit alone anymore. So I learned how to stop internalizing and pretending like everything was fine. I learned how to identify the safe spaces in my life where I could speak honestly and openly. I began to lean into my people who have always been here with open arms, waiting for me to realize that they were here. I began to finally let myself express how I was feeling without trying to filter it, without trying to hide behind my fear of being judged. Today, I'm in a completely new, opposite season of my life. I still have bad days, but I no longer have to suffer through them alone. Learning how to master conversations has empowered me to keep those bad days from turning into bad weeks, bad months. In fact, I can honestly say that for the last 6 to 8 months, my worst days have been 10 times better than my best days were back then. I'm not just talking about conversations in the traditional sense, like with other people. I'm talking about inner dialogue too, okay? I learned how to flip the negative self-talk on its head. I've learned how to reframe the stories that I was all alone. And in doing so, I have actually learned to seek out and find safe spaces to express myself. I've learned to trust that the people in my life, the people that I was newly meeting, were all there to support me, just as I've always been there to support them. I've even learned tools to recognize and cope with my emotions because I opened the door to ask for help from those who actually could offer support and education on dealing with my emotions. Okay? If you guys would like to work with a coach who has been where you are now, as in suffering in silence, if you would like to work with a coach who has actually made it to the other side, I am your girl. I remember all too well how those dark days felt, which is why one of the core things that I focus on inside of Mastering Conversations is creating a safe space for our community, not just mine, our community, to practice sharing how you feel, to practice speaking your truth, to practice asking for support. We also focus on creating those safe spaces in your own life. If you know this is for you, then please, let's talk. You don't have to go through this shit alone. Okay? Simply DM me conversations to book a free discovery call. At the very least, you will walk away feeling less alone, with a new safe confidant and some simple tools to express how you're really feeling. Thank you all for holding space. I am sure that I will be back at some point in the future to share a little bit more about what was going on last year. But I just want you to know that if you are in a dark headspace, if you're struggling, if you are feeling alone, you are not. We can work through this. You are not alone. I love you all so much, and I'm so grateful that you are all here. Thank you.